that's the part with the culture too that makes it so important, and it's hard to see. And I think the official visits is really important to bring the kids out. I mean, they're gonna say whatever kind of you want to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can feel the red flags. You can see the red flags come up. Like there's questions you're gonna ask and see if they answer with a red flag or not, or if it's a good answer. And then you're gonna give them to the team. You're gonna give them to the team for a day. Maybe they take them to the beach or hang out.
Yeah.
And like you're gonna get their feedback too, because the guard will be down and like be like, all right, do you think this guy will fit in the culture? No, there's other red flags too. But that's the big one too. And if some kids just want a free trip to Hawaii, that's like you kind of feel that, and then it's like, all right,
yeah, that's true.
You can handle the heat. Yeah. You can handle the heat. Yeah. Out of system, you can handle the heat.
Booyakasha, welcome back to another episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It's your boy G Swizz. Next to me, Jokesy. Jokesy, how we doing?
Doing great.
Good man, good man. And if you haven't,
What is North? We're in North Carolina. What is
we're in North.
It's the Tar Heel State.
Tar Heel State. We're Raleigh.
We're not in Raleigh. We're in Winston-Salem.
We're in Winston-Salem at the moment. Here, completing our next couple camps here. We got 2 more days of it. It's going so far, so good. Pretty pumped about it. Shout out to Rise Sports for hooking it up for us. With that being said, we also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, allvolleyball.com. Like I said, we came from the professional season indoor. Now we're playing a lot more beach, a lot more grass, also giving lessons to our little indoor campers. Now, with that being said,
Some of them are not little.
well, some of them are not little. Some of them are big campers, little campers of all sizes. With that being said, no matter what size you are, All Volleyball has all your volleyball needs. #1 volleyball retailer in the nation for a reason. And congrats, we're paying you 20% off with the promo code OOS. Click the link in the bio. Anything volleyball, anything you want, they got. You need, they got. With that being said, also, we are not here. It's not just the 2 Dolos here chilling together. We have one. He's a camp counselor. He's a camp coach, a court coach.
Counselor.
As well as a close friend of ours, Joe's ex-roommate and Hawaii legend, now the assistant coach at University of Hawaii, the KUPONO FEY.
Thanks for having me. I've been waiting 3 years to be on this podcast, so it's a real honor, and I'm super grateful to be back.
It's because Micah wouldn't let you come on. That was the thing.
True.
So now that Micah's not here, we can have you on.
That's true. He's like, I can't have 2 Hawaiians on here. It's going to steal my thunder. It's gonna
Buff
steal
and
my
blue.
That's his thing, He's Hawaiian chosen. So
Yeah.
Hawaiian, it kind of goes
The
between
chosen
you.
one.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I think everyone out there can see your shirt right now. Define the moment. Now, can you turn around actually too and show them the back? For those of you wondering, no, this is not a Goodwill find or a job by a 3rd grader. Every year we have a senior shirt that, so if you're senior night at Hawaii, you make a shirt, right? For me, it's my G Swizz shirt. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. I wear a lot. This is Joe's shirt. And Joe, you want to give a little back? Well, first of all,
The best senior shirt ever made.
There you go.
I have to say, I'm sitting in the presence of probably the 2 best senior shirts. KUPONO and Gage, I think, had my 2 favorite senior shirts I've ever seen. So mine, I think, is at the opposite spectrum. Probably the worst senior shirt I've ever seen.
Would you agree with that, Kapana?
That ours are the best?
No.
I mean,
Well, yeah, ours are the best, but that goes without saying. But in terms of that raggedy-taggedy thing you have,
Dude, so I didn't even think about senior shirts.
Dude,
and senior shirts is such a tradition in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that it's just a Hawaii kind of thing, and we love to. Even in high school, we do that.
Dude, you know how Joe got that? Let me tell you how Joe got that thing. He was like, you know what? He didn't really care, I guess, as much about his shirt. So he goes, all of a sudden, he gets DMs from he's like, hey, anyone want to make my senior shirt? Because DM'd, right? From these cheerleaders. I'm like, yeah, I'm an art major. I was like, yeah, why not? Super, super cheap. We walk in, like a week later or whatever, we walk in to go look at them making. It looks like they're like sweatshops. It looks like they're painting this on. I was like, what the hell is this? It was literally, it's the worst material too. By far the worst material I ever felt in my life. But make sure to define the moment, Joe.
But that's part of that's part of it though. It's like that's why people wear it. It's like
no one wears it. Nobody wears it. That's the first time I've ever seen someone wear it in a
no, Stein
in a
wears it.
non-mocking way.
Stein and Rado wear it.
No.
Yes. I've seen them wear it.
Rado's in Serbia. He's got nothing else to wear over there. I mean, come on now.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. How are the senior shirts this year, though?
Pretty good. God, I haven't seen too many. I don't even know if Yaka made one. I didn't get one. So,
Dude.
I know.
I didn't even get a senior
crushed.
night. I didn't even get anyone in the senior night.
Gage didn't get a senior.
I had a senior night, but it was empty.
That's right.
Oh, during
Isn't that
COVID?
crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Were you all by yourself?
No, I could have been though. I had a COVID year, but I didn't. I decided not to take it.
No, yeah. No, but you were the only one graduating that year.
No, because we had 6th years and 5th years. But I would have been literally my own. I would have been out there. It would have been Gage's night. You know, like, my ego would have hated that for sure.
Everybody bow down to me.
Yeah.
That is right.
It's gonna be. We gotta fill the time. It's gonna be a 10-minute Gage video. You know, like this is all the time we got.
Gage's gonna talk for 10 minutes. Like, get the mic away from that guy. But let's get into you, little Capone here. First of all, what was it? So this is your first year coaching.
Yeah.
First year coaching period, in terms of like at the collegiate level, right?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
What a program to start at. So how did you, first of all, how'd you get the job in terms of how'd you get into it?
Well, I was playing overseas for 4 years in Italy and Greece, and then kind of COVID, everything in my shoulder. I decided to use my degree. I was working as a project engineer, civil engineer for a construction company. And then Josh Walker, shout out to Josh, announced he was going to Baylor, and Charlie opened the job application. I've been always stayed in touch with Charlie throughout the years. I'm sure you guys have too. You know what I mean? And we were talking about being assistant coach, and initially I turned it down.
Why'd you turn it down?
Just there's a lot of reasons. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things going through my head, and why I quit volleyball and wanted to use my degree. I had a good thing going in construction, working for NNNNNGGggg. I could have moved up pretty quickly over there. I was doing pretty good, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with the construction workers, but I love doing this more. So it was just kind of a big switch, and only being there for 1 year, and even kind of knowing Larry Tui's father, is the director over there. So I knew him, and he helped me out a lot. So I felt bad leaving as well, but I can always go back. You know, I left on good terms. So. But
good, man.
Yeah, good to be back with UH, with our alma mater, and I think we had a successful year, and it was a lot of fun for sure.
Before we get in the year, I was want to kind of ask, like, what is the like coaching versus playing roles? Because you got to ask yourself, like for me, like when I'm coaching, like especially when I'm coaching younger kids, and I guess I'd be deemed as immature, especially at that age. Like I would have done like 10 times worse what this kid's doing in front of me. I'm yelling for. So is there ever like kind of like a double standard thing, like where you're like, I mean, I did a little worse, or I did this, but you know, I'm the coach now, so I got to say something.
I think it's a little humbling just looking at recruiting videos nowadays. Like back then, we didn't even have YouTube really or anything. Like it wasn't as popular, and like your iPhones are all over the place at the club tournaments. Like it's so easy to have content and so easy to have video. Back then, we just turned in like full game film, and you know, we were talking about that, and I'm like, God, what were my highlights like? You know, I'm trying to judge a 15-year-old. Like, let's be honest. Like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
I made it. So I made it overseas. So, like, it's a little humbling.
Right. Well, you're at obviously, as we're gonna say, the top program in the country. So like, you're in charge of basically like, you're gonna change this kid's future, or you're gonna maybe deny this kid. You know, you're gonna change it no matter what. You literally have the hand of God right here, and these thumb up or thumb down kind of thing. How is that?
Maradona.
Yeah.
Hand of God.
Yeah.
Or like the gladiator. It's like a thumb down, like kill him or like let him live.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we got a lot of emails to go through, a lot of recruiting videos.
How many
and
do
it's
you
tough to. I mean, I got like 60 right now that I got to go through. Especially with like AAUs coming up and everything. So everyone's done with their high school. They got highlights coming out. It's definitely not as much as like the women's programs, but yeah, just making sure like I'm doing my diligence. But you know, you want to be respectful. They're putting in a lot of work. They're emailing all these guys, but I mean, we only have so many roster spots, and every year we like less and less, especially with COVID years and everything.
What does like a typical recruiting email look like, and what is something for you that like you look for like in an initial like impression from a kid?
I mean, it's just an introduction, and they always talk about how much they love the program, what it means to them, you know what I mean, and how hard they've been working, how long they've been playing, and then they always have like a highlight film. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less, and you know, it's tough. I would recommend like making a highlight film, put your best plays first. You know, some coaches will have like a couple second rule, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not gonna watch. I mean, 2 minutes is not even a long time.
Yeah.
But if you get like 100 of them, you know, it just
For
adds
sure.
up, and you got like all this admin stuff to do in coaching. So I definitely recommend just like getting your best highlights first, instead of doing like attacking, setting, blocking. Like make sure those best highlights are first.
So yeah, because we get a lot of questions like that. So especially when we're at home, they're like,
Make that impression.
yeah, because they're like,
Yeah.
what do I start with? I'm like, I would start with something sick, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bounce the ball to the roof.
Like there was this one video I was talking to, who was I talking about? Jonas Seif on Santa Barbara. Like there's one video and the dude hit people in the face like 3 times. I'm like, this is the best start to any video I've ever seen.
That's so
but
true.
like it's not, and then like I don't know how his techniques are, you know, then we'll watch the rest.
Yeah.
But that definitely made an impression.
You had to grab the attention.
Yeah.
So like when you're
It's
being
tough because our attention spans,
Yes.
just in general, our whole society is getting a
TikTok, baby.
little shorter. Yeah.
So with that being said, you said that you want to. So like when you watch a traditional recruiting video for volleyball, it's always like slow intro, 6'5", a picture of the person, you know, all that. You would say skip that, and then put it in later, or put it in the email, or how, like.
No, I think that's fine. I think it's fine.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I would recommend. This is the one thing I do recommend. God, people are gonna hate me for this, maybe, but I think it's better when it comes from the kid and not from a recruiting service. Like we want you to be independent. We want you to be. You're gonna be on your own. You're gonna be away from your family. You're gonna be away from your parents. We like that independent aspect. So hearing from you directly instead of from a recruiting service is more beneficial, I think. And even some recruiting services, I even responded to a couple. This is my first year, but I responded to a couple like, "Hey, you're kind of making it too hard for me to watch this kid. Like, I gotta make an account. I gotta click all these buttons to finally see their recruiting profile and to watch their video. Like, you're kind of making it tough on them, and they're
Right.
paying you money. So just to let you guys know, just to let them know, like it's better to hear from them directly. And YouTube is so easy.
How does those sites work? Like, for example, they put it. Okay, for example, let's say you start a website like that, right? And they put it up. Where is the what's the word I'm looking for? Where is the win-win for you to go on that website and find the kid?
I mean, some of them are user friendly and they're fine. You just like the kids will write a message in that, and then they'll like probably add all the coaches' emails, and they'll send like one time instead of going to like Gmail or something, and you got to send it like multiple times. But sometimes it's not so user friendly. Like guys, stuff like Huddle, they update it a lot. There's a lot of clips on there. Those things are fine, but
why do you go on that website? Is it just because everyone posts there? Is it kind of like, is that why you go? Like, why bother going on the website if it's like rather than like?
Why bother for me?
Yeah,
Or
for you.
the kid?
Yeah.
Well, I want to see they emailed me, so I want to see what they got.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Got you.
But
So in a case, I mean, other than like top recruits, you're gonna find top recruits. But in terms of like non-top recruits, is it a thing where they should put it on if you don't get an email from them, are you ever gonna like see the time and day, or they have to like just because we know like a lot of our listeners may not be the top, and like how do I go to Hawaii? How do I go to these top schools? I always tell people you have to email these people, rather than just putting clips online. But it has to be more of a direct message kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the more thing I even tell my club kids. Like, hey, where do you want to go? Like, we can help you out, but you got to email. Just email everyone. Like, email where you want to go, what your top schools, or your second choices, your third choices. Like, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I feel like it's also. People always ask, they're like, oh, what should I do? I want to go to school. I was like, well, first of all, you gotta ask yourself, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to go to? Maybe you're at a kind of where maybe you're good enough to go to this school, but they don't offer you, or a couple schools they don't offer you. Maybe you'll just random school in Idaho, I don't know, or something like that. No bash to Idaho or anything, but the thing is, like, you gotta ask yourself, like, how bad do you want it, kind of thing. It's like I always say, put a big net out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, the higher skilled, the more recruiter you are, you don't have to do that as much. They'll find you. But if you're not in that pool, put it all out there. And how much do you love volleyball? You're gonna find out when you see who offers you and who doesn't, or he gives you opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. You want to just cast your net, like what you said, but and then you go through your pros and cons list, like, you know, and all that stuff. And you talk with your parents, like, who's interested. And like Charlie always says, like, no is an answer, you know, but you have to get an answer. So that's why we tell our club kids too. But I think it's interesting, like, even like going back to what you said, like I wasn't a top recruit coming out of high school either, and like now, like, the program's so successful and we made it so successful, we really taking it to a whole nother level. But like, would I even get recruited to the right now? Like, we're in such a different spot than where we were when I was coming out. Like, we didn't make playoffs when I was being recruited. so much different.
Yeah. Well, I think, for the listeners out there, KUPONO was actually the one that turned kind of UH around, or was a huge.
I don't know
Obviously, he's
about
gonna be
that.
humble. He's gonna be humble.
He's
with
a
it.
giant mural in
Yeah.
the Stan Chair.
He literally has a huge.
I don't
mural.
know.
Every time I'm there, I kiss it every time. That's for you, KUPONO. You know what I'm saying? But no, you.
I don't know how that got up there, man.
It was
Right
naturally.
here,
Yeah.
right here. Harry, show KUPONO kissing the H. Show that video
Oh,
or the picture.
I love that. Hey, what do you think about the jerseys now in Hawaii, man? Like what? All right, obviously you're sponsored by
I
Adidas.
totally
get
agree.
it.
I totally agree.
I get it. But like, are you guys trying to get like? Because you want to? Can you go through all the jerseys you guys used to have? Try and name them all right now. When you were with A6.
Like when I was playing.
Yeah, when you were
God,
playing.
we had like 5 or 7 when I was playing.
I
by
think-
the senior year,
But
we
could
had,
you name them?
Well, we had 3 of the flag ones, like
Okay.
the green, the white, and the black. Those ones were the best jerseys in the world.
Yeah.
Then we had like a camel one. We had the retro one with the white
Mhm.
and the rainbow. We even had the plumeria, the
Yeah.
pink plumeria
Yeah.
one.
Then you
might
guys had
be
the
missing
normal
one.
ones too.
And then we had the normal ones like white, red, and black. White, green, and
I
black.
had 11 because I also had the long sleeves because emergency libero.
Oh,
I
yeah,
always
yeah.
carried 3 long sleeves too, so I had like 11 jerseys. I'm like, Charlie, if I have to go libero, we're not in a good position if I have to go out there and play libero.
That's because Kobe Kanatake only played long sleeves.
So
So you had the long
Yeah.
sleeves, yeah. Oh, Kobe was in there, yeah. Was Tui and Mamani? They were in long sleeves too.
Mamane did long sleeves.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Tui didn't do
I
long
remember
sleeves.
carrying
Tui's
long
didn't
sleeves
do long
though
sleeve,
in my bag.
Yeah.
Did you also so my junior year, I think I carried in my senior year a little, but what happened was Charlie got really creative. We were sponsored by Under Armour, but it was like the first year or whatever.
Mhm.
So we went through like this other company and like did like a crazy, like a traditional kind of Hawaii jersey. It wasn't as cool as the jersey you guys had, but he like just put the Under Armour logo on it. It was not made by Under Armour or anything like that. But that was like a creative way to put it on. And I guess Under Armour, obviously you can't
I'm learning more schools do that. There are big schools
Yeah.
around that have different budgets, but they have big names, and they'll be like a Hanes shirt or something, and just put like Nike.
That's what I'm saying. So like,
I don't know what schools do it, but
But are you guys
thing.
are you guys trying to get like creative with it? Because Adidas is, I mean,
so this is our
multi-billion-dollar.
3rd year with Adidas.
Mhm.
So we're still starting up, and we switched to Under Armour, and we have a little less freedom than like kind of Asics. Our budget's a little different, but there was a new rule that came in place that you're not allowed to have any flags on your jersey. Kind of with the whole Mauna Kea stuff going on in Hawaii. Like they didn't want the backlash, they don't want the liability, they don't want the litigation, they don't want.
Yeah.
But like,
There's other stuff you can put on.
yeah, I don't want to go into all that too. I mean, I do because we should have the flag on it. Like we have the flag in the stand. We have the flag like outside the Stan Sheriff Center. We have flags on campus.
Right.
We're the state of Hawaii. We're the University of Hawaii. Whether I'm native Hawaiian, and I guess kind of against the telescope for Mauna Kea too, but we're still a state of Hawaii, and King Kamehameha made the flag. So I think we should embrace that. And if you have a problem with it, you shouldn't be taking it out on the University of Hawaii men's volleyball team. Like you don't say anything to the men's football team when they're running out with the Hawaiian flag, and you don't say anything to the government. Like go down and change it. If you really want to make change at Parliament. Don't make change with. Don't take it out on us.
Yeah.
But
No,
that's my
I
opinion.
get you. It's like not a martyr. Is martyr is like the correct word for that? No,
Martyr.
Martyr. Yeah.
But they just don't want the litigation,
got you.
which is.
Opening a problem. Slippery slope.
But everyone's asking for it. Like the whole 10,000 people in the arena. Like where's the flag jersey? Bring them back.
But would Adidas allow you guys to do that though? Like,
Adidas would, but it's a university.
but
policy.
if you guys can make the flag jersey, that means you can make a Plumeria jersey or something like that.
Yeah, we're trying to work more sublimation, and we're definitely gonna try and make like a retro and maybe a military jersey next year.
Ooh, that's nice. We had a military
Yeah.
jersey. It was sick. It was
But
cool.
just like a top-up print or something would be super cool.
Start out small and then
Yeah.
work your way up, and all of a sudden, bam, you guys are back, baby, to 5.
You
6.
should
Yeah.
do one you should do a series where it's like something like part of the culture, like a lei jersey or something, and then have like you do super sick like lei, or I'm trying to think or maybe it's like a certain beach or something. You have like a graphic of a certain beach.
So I don't know if you've seen our Aloha shirts that we wear. The coaches wear.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah,
It's
yes.
Manoheli, and one of our players, like Antes, owns the company. So there's like a whole trade agreement. They give us shirts and we give them tickets. But we're trying to make jerseys from their designs. And we got like all these lists, but it's got to go through the whole process and approval process. So we were trying to get it last year, but it was, it's taking too long. So maybe next year. And they're some really cool designs. And they put a lot of thought into it too.
The coaches shirts this year were sick.
Yeah,
The
they
pictures
were.
I saw.
much better than the year before. I will say. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
We had fishing shirts one year. Literally tan fishing shirts. Those are travel shirts the coach wear. I'm like, what am I, freaking Bear Grylls?
They're
Like, what am I
nice
wearing?
shirts.
Dude, they are nice, but
They're
I'm like,
nice shirts.
but would you say Hawaii, like, it's like in terms of like traveling, aesthetic, coaching staff, play? No, are they? No, not the players. I'm saying like what, like the gear and stuff. Do you think it's the cleanest look or no?
What do you mean?
Well,
Traveling in Aloha shirts?
Well, think about it. Well, no, it all together. You include jerseys. You include the coaches' shirts. You include travel jerseys. All this stuff. Do you think you guys like the cleanest? You think out of everyone?
I like it, and we're different. I like how Charlie says as well. Like everyone in the gym while they're recruiting is just wearing a polo shirt with their club, with their school, college school on it. And Charlie's like, you can only know what school I'm at from the front, but if I'm wearing an Aloha shirt walking around, like you can tell who I am from the back, and that's pretty cool. Kind of stand out a little more.
No, Hawaii coaches always stand out at the events.
Yeah.
That's totally true.
And you got Milan.
And the
too.
material is nice too. They're not like the shirt. No, I'm just kidding. But
Got it.
What?
Just kidding. But they're
Define the
actually really
material.
comfortable too on the planes and travel shirts.
Yeah,
Shout out to Monte Ali.
I got some good ones before I left too, for sure. Let's get a little bit into the year here. Obviously, not the ending. You were part of the team, but obviously we were there in spirit. That we all wanted, I'm sure. Well, first things first. We had a discussion with Micah, right? Micah Ma. We talked about. He bring up the point about how UCLA gets all this flack because they get all the top recruits. They don't produce. They don't win a national championship. But Hawaii, or sometimes other schools, but mainly Hawaii, brings in other recruits. First off, we should have made that clear. That's on us. That conversation did not happen after the national championship. That conversation happened years prior to that. Sorry. We apologize for that. So just want to make that clear. But it was just kind of relevant at the time, so we talked about it. I know you kind of wanted to kind of touch base on. I wish we had Micah here to kind of go back and forth.
I know, yeah. He's gonna comment on me after.
Oh,
this.
I hope. And then we're gonna go next podcast.
Yeah.
Call it with a photo.
We're like, yeah.
But what are your
I'll have a
thoughts
call
on
in.
that?
We'll have a call in on that one.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know too much I want to say. I'm being a coach now.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
I
I
get
would
it.
be have a little more freedom just being a professional athlete.
100%.
And it happened before. Our talk between him was way before I became a coach. But it's been known forever. Like, and I don't want to sound like a sore loser or anything.
No.
But like UCLA, they're notorious. They get the top American recruits.
Right.
That's a fact. And Mike has a good point. Like you put Ratto, you put Stein in American volleyball, and it's totally different. That being said, like coaches outside of that, they really have to work differently. Some would say harder to really find other recruits. If you're not going to get the American recruits, if you're not going to get the top American recruits, you're not just going to get this next best and expect to win championships. We do a lot of good job developing. Like I was unrecruited and I was a 3-time starter. You know what I mean? We made it to the NCAAs. Joe unrecruited basically as a setter, and we know how his recruiter went out. Colton too. A lot of guys like Cole Hoagland, undrafted.
Yeah.
Undrafted, unrecruited, undrafted free agent. But
Transfer wire.
like we take a lot of pride in development. I'm sure all the other schools do, but like a lot of unrecruited people have been on starting national NCAA teams. And I think a lot of other schools take pride in that, and they have to. But foreigners in college volleyball is normal nowadays. You look back at the players of the year: Jakob, Nikolov, Rado, Sherzin, Tilly. Like you can go back forever. Like Sprott. Everyone's had foreigners. UCLA had 2 Israelis on their team.
Kiroga.
They had Kofi, the Canadian, on their team too. So like, yeah.
Well,
good points.
And they had So.
No, I think you brought up a good point. It's like, because for Micah, it's like, okay, if the top recruits keep going to UCLA, keep going to wherever they end up going over the years, what is like a school like Hawaii supposed to do? To sit there and like, all right, we're just gonna take these kids and be happy with that and let UCLA just smash us? Like, I think that's a good point. Like, but Micah's whole thing was he doesn't like how UCLA gets all the flack at times for getting the top kids, and then like Gage said, like sometimes like not winning until this past year. And so my whole thing is like, yeah, well, it's true. Like everything that said it's true for sure. So you see, like UH responds by going and like finding other places. If they're not getting the top kids, how what are they supposed to do? To sit there and like they have to go be able to compete. Like it's competitive sports. At the end
we're
of the
gonna
day.
develop. You know, we're gonna spend all the time in the gym, but you still need kind of that quality talent in the gym to lead and raise the level of talent in the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We see like Irvine gets Heno and brings him in the gym. Ohio State goes outside the box, gets Scherzen. You know what I mean? And they change leagues. They change the NCAA. So you can't just sit there and just like kind of hope for the best. Like your career's on the line, and it's very volatile to be a collegiate coach. You know, maybe less volatile than being like NBA. Yeah. But like you can be on the chopping block real quick.
Yeah.
I think his more thing wasn't that it's happening. It's more that there's more of a pressure in UCLA than Hawaii. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think the more thing he's saying is that the people writing the rankings for like top recruiting classes don't know who the foreigners are, and they don't know how to rank it correctly with. Like, is Nikolov just coming the other year, and they still didn't put Long Beach as, like, the number one recruiting class. It's still UCLA or something. And that's a good point. I totally agree with him. But that being said, like, one guy isn't going to change a whole recruiting class. It's, like, the quantity of talent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Because they don't just get, like, 2 or 3 top recruits. They get, like, 8 or 9.
No, I have a whole whiteboard, like, all right, here's the top guys. Here we're going. It's just like, yeah. You can see where everyone's going.
Really? So, like, do you guys find yourself Hawaii getting more top recruits than normal, though?
God, we never really get the blue chippers from America, to be honest. But I think it's starting to change. Like, Charlie has a good point. Like, their whole lifetime, we've been in the finals. We've been in the NCAA tournament since 2017. But even since 2019, we've been in the finals. So
I think I'm not trying to toot my own bell, but I was luckily
Toot your own horn.
Toot my own thing. Ring my own bell. Ring my own horn. But I think I was actually, because I was lucky I was playing on his team, so I was luckily highly recruited. I think, because I was thinking about it, I was like, dude, I looked around the gym, I was like, I think I'm the only, like, and obviously we were all at the same level, just like you said, some people just don't get recruited or whatnot.
yeah.
But I think, like, I just remember I was like, I think I'm the only one that here that's like highly recruited, but we're winning all the time. I was like, wow, it's impressive. And then you see, like you said, the development. I think it's a testament to the development you guys have, for sure. But one thing, also I wanted to ask, do you think you have an eye for that kind of diamond in the rough because you were one as well? Like when you're going around gym, you're like, okay, like I said, you can get the guys bouncing off the faces and stuff, okay. But do you like, okay, this is a good player? Like, you know what I'm saying? You can kind of have an eye for certain players such as yourself.
I'd like to think so.
Right.
That being said, I think every coach says that.
I got the eye.
Like
the
just
best
being
eye. Every
I can find every needle in the haystack. But I do like to look for, like, that goes for recruiting, like going back on that, like we can I like the blue collar kids. I think that changed our program. I think that changed UH, blue collar. And we can talk about the blue chippers all the time, the top level talents, and those kids, they maybe started early, you know, or some kids, like, they matured early or they're held back and, like, they should dominate. But I like the blue collar ones, the ones with a little fire. And you can see that when you're walking around the gym, like, okay, not like talking all the smack talk or whatever, but really got that fire driven.
Shoulder, yeah.
They're kind of internally motivated. And that's kind of what I look for. And if you're a blue chipper who's internally motivated, that's like double blue chip. Yeah. That's in my opinion. But I think that's the blue collar that really changed us. It's like me, I want to put the work in. Joe, you put the work in. Gage, you put the work in. With Colton, I mean, Stein and Rattle, they were always in the gym working extra. Hendrick. And I think that's what changed our program. I remember talking to some other college coach when we were at like Pan Am's or something. And I think that was the main difference he was talking about. I think sometimes schools look at quality, they look at balancing kids or hitting people in the face and like just too much stats. And you got to look for that just blue collar and just a little more internally motivated.
Yeah, Charlie's also one of few. UCLA does this too. But to my knowledge, I don't know a whole lot of other schools who were doing this, at least when I was being recruited, who actually go and like visit the kids' houses. Yeah. Like he came to my house when he was recruiting. Sprod and Keller came up too at UCLA. It was an easy trip for them. But besides that, I didn't hear about any other people that were
really
fun. And I don't know like the logic, but I know like Charlie actually goes to the house and like talks. I'm sure there's other coaches who had done that, but I think that's an important thing too, and actually getting to know the athletes, because people always talk to me too about like if I was a college coach and stuff, like I always tell people I would do two things. One, really like, and it's harder said than it's easier said than done. Like I really getting to know the athletes, like you said, and like figure out what their work ethic is, because that's because as soon as you bring a kid into the gym, like the culture is the biggest thing. Like, and if he's supposed to be the best player, and like you said, when you have culture issues, it would frustrate me immensely as a coach, as I'm sure it does everybody. But two, I would also like what Long Beach did. They brought in TJ, Josh, Kyle, like guys who played together, you have that connection. Like being able to do that, I don't think enough schools do that sometimes, where you have like a setter hitter that's and then they end up going separate ways. I'm like, why don't you just, they've played together the whole life, like bring them both in together.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think schools want to do that, and they would love to do that. And they want to do more home visits. I know more schools than that do home visits. At the end of the day, like a lot of collegiate football teams, collegiate basketball teams, they'll do more home visits. You know what I mean? And a lot of it still comes down to budget.
Yeah,
you know, like, why isn't this coach visiting my house? Like, we don't have the budget.
Yeah.
Or why isn't the coach recruiting my whole club team? We only have 4.5 scholarships. Like, it's just that kind of thing. And then it becomes money. It becomes, like, parents involved. And we'd love to get the top outside, right side, and setter in the same class, or middle blocker.
For sure.
But we've only got, like, one scholarship that year. And, like, okay, maybe we can only give it to one of them. Or, like, they won't accept 30% for all three of them kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the part. Only if the money is like available, too.
Yeah.
And NIL is changing that sport radically. So,
you know what's crazy to me? I've talked about this in the past. Just how many coaches just don't have an eye for that, like you said. And I'll explain a little more here. But like you said, Joe, it's hard to getting a hold of what the kids really like, right? Just watching them play, you only get so much exposure. Obviously, they're going to show their best self as much as possible to you, right?
yeah.
Right? It's not like they're just going to go and just start, I don't know, ripping a bong and just talking to the Hawaiian. Or, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just going to, like, do anything, you know, stuff like that. But for me, it's like, and obviously, if I'm playing, maybe I have a bit better idea. But, like, for coaches, like Joe said, it's all about I'm not thinking about words today. What is it? The culture of your program. And it's fascinating to me how the coaches don't see, it's very obvious who is going to work hard. I think for a lot of, like, players, I'm like, no wonder your program is suffering all the time. That kid's here just to rage the entire school. This kid's not, and they recruit the same kids. And like I'm talking about big programs. I'm talking about big programs. I'm not gonna name any names.
We
here.
know, yeah. We know.
Again and again and again. I'm like, why do you think you guys suck? It's because you recruit this rager and this same kid every single time. And guess what? Those kids, when they get put in third and fourth string, and when they've been first and second string, that doesn't mean, oh, let me put my nose, or let me just grind even harder. That means let me rage even harder. Maybe just quit the team, join the frat. And go on. I'm like, and you recruit the same kid. I'm like, what do you, like, how do you not see that? How do you not see that? It's so obvious. You recruit the same cookie cutter, and you have the terrible results every year. I just don't get it. I don't know.
No, I know. I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's the part with the culture, too, that makes it so important. And it's hard to see. And I think the official visits is really important to bring the kids out. I mean, they're going to say whatever kind of you want to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can feel the red flags. You can see the red flags come up. Like, there's questions you're going to ask and see if they answer with the red flag or not, or if it's a good answer. And then you're going to give them to the team. You're going to give them to the team for a day. Maybe they take them to the beach or hang out. Yeah. And, like, you're going to get their feedback, too, because the guard will be down. And like, be like, all right, do you think this guy will fit in the culture? And that's like what some recruits don't know is that's kind of a big point. And then, they'll fly home and be like, oh, like, sorry, we don't have the money anymore, kind of thing.
There was two kids when I was at UH. It was hard no to Charlie. I remember they showed up and Charlie like, hard no. I don't remember their names. I remember they came on trips.
There's
and the
always
whole team was
every
like
year.
no.
Yeah.
So like how much like
because you're wanting to build that culture and stuff,
Yeah.
and even if they're blue chip, even if they're super talented, are they going to be that guy who like doesn't show up to like open gym and like, all right, we can't make it mandatory, but like those are very important. Like some of the schools, they're not taking advantage of the fall, and that's why they're starting off slow, and that's why they're a little behind. And if the top guy's not in there, then the bottom guys won't be in there. The middle guys won't be in there.
sure.
And the bottom won't be in there. And then that's not a good culture. You know what I mean? So.
And then it's like if you recruit, like I said, the cookie cutter guy, like you have a bad culture, and they're just doing like not great stuff on the visit or whatever. They just like said should be red flags, but they're also a red flag, and they're like, this guy's sick. And it's like, maybe you listen to if he's sick, don't recruit him. If
That's
he's
why-
not sick, recruit him.
It's very important who you make the host.
Yeah.
It's very important. Not all the kids will be the host.
Yeah.
And some kids will be like, great, I won't be a host. But like, it's a kind of a privilege to be a host.
I never got to host one kid. Not even my
I did.
brother. Not one
Interesting.
single host the entire time.
Interesting.
Maybe that's a message from Charlie. They never gave me one recruit.
Don't bother Joe. He needs to focus on volleyball.
I got one host. I got one. Oh my god, I can't even tell the story because my roommate used some profane language. Oh my god. All right, I can tell a little bit. So I had this guy. I think it was actually who's at UH right now. It was Austin Buchanan.
Okay.
So Austin Buchanan.
Just don't get anybody in trouble here.
Yeah.
No, this is not. No, this is not on Austin. This
Okay.
is my roommate who I'm not gonna name the name.
Austin's a great kid.
Austin's a great kid.
Yeah.
Great teammate. He was a friend of mine at UH.
Yeah. Great kid.
So his mom and him are on a visit there. I think it's an unofficial visit. They're like, Gage, this is my freshman year. It was 2 years until he was a junior at the time. So it was 2 years until he would have came to Hawaii. I think he either committed or hadn't committed, but it was during kind of like December-ish. So there was only people in my whole dorm, like this building. It was in Johnson Hall. It was me and my roommate. My roommate at the time, huge gamer. He was also on the football team, huge gamer. And he would just rage, though. He was a huge rager at the video game. And obviously our beds are like 2 or 3 feet, 4 feet apart, so it's really close. So I would go, and I'd be like, you know what? And they're like, Gage, you need to go host and show this kid your dorm room to kind of so they can see. All right. I wake up, clean my room, did everything. I go to my roommate. I'm like, brother, I know you're gonna be playing video games when I get back here. I love you like a brother. But you need to stay calm when I get in here. He's like, yeah, I got you. I go to campus center. I meet Austin and his mom. Like, hey, what's up? Grab him. I was like, we're gonna go to the dorm room here. Take him in the dorm. Also at this time, there was a huge leakage of gases in front of the bathroom, so the whole smelled like ass, literal ass.
Why didn't you tell the coaches this? Why would you not tell the coaches?
When we
literal
go into
ass.
another building, there's 4 freshman
No, it
towers.
was December. That was the only one there. There was like no
Oh,
one.
this
So
is
that's the
December.
problem. They were stuck with me. And I was like, I remember it was like smelled like ass. I was like,
Gage's
I was like, sorry about the smell.
I just used the bathroom.
So then I'm like, I remember I was about to walk in the room, and I was like, Kate, please don't be raging. Literally, I've opened the door. Austin, the mom, right behind me. I open the door. I open it. Literally at that same moment, my roommate dies in the video game. At the same moment, he's like, and he starts raging. He's like, mother effer you. And he gets up. He starts yelling at the TV. This mother effer. I'm going to F you. Like, in other words, I can't repeat on this podcast. No, and he starts raging. Austin's mom right behind me is like, and I have to run. I have to grab him. Like, my bad. Bleep that out. Bleep out my roommate's name. No, calm down. I'm like, give me a moment here. And I have to calm down my roommate. He's raging at the TV. Like, this is effing bull. And he's like, literally, for like 15, 20 seconds, like, oh my God, bro. Oh, he's raging. And then I calm him down. And I'm like, I just, hey, so this is the like Will Ferrell, like, hey, like, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll give him the tour, and I'm trying not to die laughing at the same time. I'm like covering the mouth and stuff, the old tricks like that. I'm like, yeah, let's leave the room, and then we have to go out to the stinky hall, and
Stinky hole.
I have to show him the bathroom and stuff.
You showed in the bathroom.
You're like, what do the showers look like? I was like, well, just follow the stench, and you'll get there. So we go and we get it all, and then I walk him out. I was like, sorry about all that.
Yeah,
it's really great.
how do you
here.
cover that up?
Yeah.
He's a really great guy.
He's got a little temper on him. So then he goes, and then he leaves, and he ends up committing. So
Hey,
you're
it
welcome.
worked.
And then I go to And I'm like, oh my bad, bleep that name out again. So Harry. And I go to him, go to my roommate, and I'm like, I was like dying. I was like, do you realize what you just did? I was dying laughing. I remember, I was like, oh, it was like perfect timing too. So I actually got, and then that was kind of my host. And then after that, I didn't get anyone. I didn't host anyone after that.
Like, I wonder why Charlie didn't give me any more hosts.
Dude, yeah, no, it's a good time. No, hosting is important though. Hosting is important, like you said though. Aside from like the funniness of it sometimes, but like you said, you get a kind of a vibe. Like you get,
you get really fun. I mean, you get fun too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun because also you get your meals paid for too. So like for me,
It's huge. Yeah.
Oh, for me, I'm like I always try to host. I'm like, come on, give me a host, give me a host. And then you get reimbursed with everything.
Yeah.
You know, go to like Ruth's Chris, Roy's Steakhouse. You know. No, I didn't do that. But I was like, we'll get this.
$200 bill.
Yeah.
Here, Chuck, is from dinner last night.
Chuck a $200 bill, I think, or it was like 120.
Sometimes
He won't let that fly anymore.
I don't know. Maybe.
Where do you take your recruits mostly?
Depends. Yeah.
Depends.
Depends.
Yeah. For sure.
Depends on the stars. 5-star, 4-star. But hey, what are the red flags? Like what are, you don't have to name names, but are some like red flags? You're like, ooh yeah.
Or like college coaches in
Let's
general.
just stop that right here.
The number one thing is that like we need to know, is distance an issue? You know, like, are you okay with living like that far from your family and that far? Because if it's a no on day one, it's gonna be a no on, you know.
Kids like,
the
I
whole
actually
time.
would prefer to live further.
Yeah.
I hate that life. I hate this guy.
You're like, all right.
Sometimes, you know, so that's like a red flag.
Yeah, you guys gotta start recruiting like emo kids, you know, like I hate my dad. It's not a phase, you know. And then get them away from the house. There you go. Boom. There you go.
Yeah. No, there's other red flags too. But that's the big one too. And if, you know, some kids just want a free trip to Hawaii, that's like, you know, you kind of feel that, you know, and then it's like, all right.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so you got to make sure that's a big one.
Yeah.
What's another one? There's a few, you know.
Yeah.
Work ethic,
Mhm.
especially with the transfer portal, is a little interesting now. It's a different world.
Oh yeah.
You know, if they're just kind of like, why are they transferring is a huge one. You know, it's just, there's good reasons to transfer and then there's bad reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're just transferring to, I don't know, if you're kind of blaming like the whole situation, blaming just kind of being the victim, like that's not a very good reason. Because I think you mature a lot during college. And like you're gonna go through hard times, you know what I mean? Especially even going overseas, like there's gonna be hard times, and like it's gonna make you a stronger person and more mature and out through it. And I think you got to go through that. Like you can't just go unless you just want to play. If you just want to play volleyball, it's fine. But like if you want to go to a top program, like you're gonna have to battle for your spot. It's not just gonna be handed to you. So I think that's a little bit of a red flag too. You know, will this kid work for it? Like you said before.
Yeah. How was the transfer?
The transfer portals.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It does definitely creates like a toxic type of, especially in basketball and football, obviously. But it's like as soon as you don't like play it all, it's like, oh, I'm just in the portal. I'm like,
yeah, it's a weird dynamic right now because I think basketball and football, it's crazy. Like everyone's entering it, and the NIL money is just like ridiculous. Men's volleyball is a little different. Women's volleyball is insane too, I bet. But men's volleyball, like not a lot of like the top guys are transferring. It's not like full of just like people are moving quickly like the other sports. So that part's a little different.
I think it has to do with the money too, though. It's like programs don't just like they max out a lot of times their scholarship. It's like, oh, a guy wants to transfer in, we don't have money for you. Like it's not like they can just throw you a full ride up right away.
Yeah, so it's not as crazy, but it's definitely a new world for sure.
For sure. I think do you think that, I don't know. You think that, how much do you think, like percentage-wise, if you were to just guess, I mean, like I said, it's first year, so maybe you don't have a feel for it, is the transfer wire, like you said, people playing
transfer
portal, my bad, playing victim in terms of not wanting to work? Do you think that created a more environment where it's like, you know what, I'm not, so I'm bouncing?
I don't know. That's tough. That's tough to say. I haven't talked to all of them. That's why. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
But I think it's really important. I think it's really good for the athletes because before when we were playing, you're kind of trapped. And like you knew people like financially maybe, and you kind of had to like kind of talk to other coaches, but you couldn't really officially do that unless you got the release letter from your coach, but you didn't want anything set up first before you talk to your coach. So you're really stuck.
Yeah.
So the transfer portal I think is really good. Gives freedom to the players. But then they created this transfer window after it because people were just transferring like before seasons or after seasons. And coaches were just getting screwed.
Yeah.
You know, so they had this whole window, and ours is every sport's different, and ours kind of opened up, but then it's kind of opened up after regular season, and it's ending soon. I think on the 7th, and then but like our admissions are super behind if we actually do get someone.
Yeah.
So like all those deadlines, they haven't really thought everything through and worked out the kinks. They kind of just, yeah, here's a portal. Oh yeah, here's a window. You know what I mean? And just kind of playing catch up a little bit. So that part's a little difficult, you know.
100%. Yeah, for me,
Hey, on the portal, like you said, they should just include right on the right. Why are you transferring? So you just right away. You don't even have to get into it. It's just like, if there's a selection.
I think we have a good. I mean, Charlie brought up this. Like, why isn't there like height, approach jump, block jump? Like, why can't I just filter like by size and by position and
profile.
by But I think it's very like broad for all sports.
Wingspan.
It's not like a football specific profile.
Can anybody access the portal list?
You got to go through your compliance.
Compliance. My biggest. I got kicked out of NCAA.
Do you get like does men's volleyball team, do you guys get like immediately alarmed when a men's volleyball player's in the portal? Is that how does that work?
if you have
One of your athletes?
Yeah,
but
no, you got to go check it.
But where
do you guys check that like every day almost? Maybe every day is excessive.
Well, like the transfer window, like first day the transfer window open, like you check through like, all right, who's all the new kids in it, and like, but you still get the emails.
Yeah,
because once they're in it, then they can talk to you. You're not allowed to talk to them unless they're in it. So,
yeah. Hey, so how do you guys work in? Because I talked to Jakob. First of all, it's crazy that international kids can't do NIL. Like literally the biggest player in the sport.
Yeah.
Jakob Tella can't do any NIL deals in Hawaii in the biggest market in men's volleyball. How do you guys do you guys recruit with NIL, like doing NIL stuff, and how do you guys help your athletes then or at Hawaii get NIL deals?
So it's a little strange. We're not supposed to know anything about the NIL contracts. We're not supposed to be in the meetings with them. We're not supposed to know any of the contracts, the numbers, anything. On the other side of that, we're taking all these courses to protect our athletes from these scams, from all this stuff. And like they got to be, they should have an agent. They should be like, check the fine print. There's all these non-compete clauses, especially. But that's the backwards part. Like, how are we supposed to protect them if we're not supposed to know anything about it?
Yeah.
That being said, like there are football schools that are like openly talking about on media that they use it as a recruiting tool, which legally you're not supposed to do. But the NCAA is.
So you guys don't use it at all for recruiting?
No.
But obviously, like you said, you have to stay out of it. But in terms of like knowledge base or like kind of what maybe you heard around like the old block and stuff, are people getting like good deals at Hawaii? Like, do you think more than maybe somewhere they'd get somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't know everything what other schools are doing, but I know our community is obviously probably the best for men's volleyball. Yeah. We're kind of an outlier for men's volleyball. Even in professional sports, I think we're averaging 6,000 a game.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? We've sold out for 10,000, and people don't understand that. But like there's a level of support in Hawaii for men's volleyball that's nowhere else, and I think we're doing very well. I think a lot of guys have some nice deals. You know. And you see on their Instagram, and like they post about it. It's 100%. It's common knowledge.
Is that part of your job too? You got to keep track of people's Instagram, see what they're up to.
Yeah, I gotta follow them. Yeah.
Does Charlie tell you to do that?
Josh kind of told me to do that. I like just speaking with Josh.
But he doesn't follow any players. Yeah, you just have to like.
I follow the players.
Okay.
And he did.
Did he?
Yeah. And secretly following.
Oh, really?
Maybe he has a private account because he always told me I don't follow players. I thought.
Or you don't let them follow you.
Maybe
is that what it is?
It's something like that.
It's definitely not his name though. He's following all the players. Someone would have known by now.
No, I think he did. He followed all the players.
If they
I want to make sure, you know.
Maybe he's that Barbie doll 3-2-1. The one who's always
slide dog, Chucky'd say. But if they don't follow you back, is that a red flag?
Yeah, they gotta follow you back. Come on, man. One, you gotta get the follow. No.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Do you do?
No, you just gotta. It's your job is on the line. Like I said, it's volatile. Like you gotta make sure like there's no ragers like posting with like a red Solo cup and being an idiot.
That's true.
You know, and like
so dumb when guys do that.
So dumb, and you see it all the time. On like
even pros. I'm like, don't
dude,
like.
Even pros.
We had guys on our team
you
this year, and I'd be like, "What are you
like,
doing? Like,
yeah,
you can do whatever you. I don't care what you do, but
you know, you got to be smart, you know, even if you're working for a business and stuff, even if you're working for a corporation and like in the future, like you can't just be kind of, you know, you can't pull an idiot move like that. You know what I mean? Especially if you have sponsors looking after you and like, all right, I'm going to get called into the office because this guy posted that picture. So
definitely college kids have to be.
You got to, you know.
Yeah, colleges have to be careful because like pros, like guys are sponsored by Kona Brewing and all. It's like once you're 21 and stuff, it's way different.
Yeah,
but it's just more so about the image and like if you're all the time posting videos of you partying, every once in a while you post like a beer sponsor. It's like okay, like you're 25.
Winning solves everything too. Like if you're losing and you're just like post one pick, like everyone, the whole president will come after you right at the club. So
does that mean the big one is also the bare ass pick? I've seen that a lot. I don't know. Have you guys seen that?
Oh,
dude, all the time people are posting.
You
stuff
were
like
on
that.
the team
Like
when
even
that
kids, high school kids are posting stuff like that. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
yeah. And like as a college coach, like you're gonna check their,
you're
gonna check their recruiting, you know, their Instagram, their Facebooks. You're gonna do some background checks.
Oh, 100%. You have to. I'm like, dude, some of these people. I'm like, what are you? Like you said.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
when
not
you're recruiting kids, you go through all their social media.
Like if we're serious, we're getting down to the talks. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. No, you got to do your diligence. You got to be for sure. Yeah.
What are other things you do that maybe people don't realize?
I don't know. Like what?
I don't know. Like
Yeah.
when you're
Stock the
looking
house,
into a
stock the
kid,
car.
it's like okay, when you're getting really serious about, you know, we're talking about money, we're talking about you know, signing this kid. What are like the checklist for UH?
I mean, if we're checking volleyball, all right, check. Like, all right, good. And then
Got to be good at volleyball, yeah.
I mean, well, that's not always the first one, but definitely like good character. And you can't see character on like a highlight video.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta like character, good attitude, good work ethic. I like the John Wooden? No, was it the old Celtics coach? What's his name? Auerbach. You know, like they used to call principals. You know, and like how's this kid doing in school? Like how is he in class? Like does he respect the teachers? Like I'm not there yet, but I think that's really interesting. And just seeing how, especially during the club, like all right, we're looking at this guy, we're watching him. Like how does he?
Mm-hmm.
All the college coaches we're talking about all the time. Like we want to see them make mistakes.
Yeah.
We don't want to see them just like have an easy tournament, be MVP. Like we want to see them make mistakes. We want to see them how they bounce back from errors. We want to see like their teammate make an error and have them help them. We don't want to see them make an error and be like, oh, like not again. You know what I mean? Like we hate seeing that, and that can be a red flag too. It could be one time. It could be a heat of the moment, but if it happens more, then it's like that's not good. You know, and you want to be mindful of that because that's a character flaw. And
Dude,
that's not always going to change.
You know what also is really good? I think is actually way more telling than maybe people realize. And I think it was UCLA or UH who called my high school coach because high school volleyball, that's like actually where you could probably see the most amount of character because you're not say kids on a top club team, it's like they're winning and stuff. But you go to a high school program, maybe like how does he act around kids who aren't on their level? A coach that maybe doesn't know a lot.
But you want someone like a good opinion, like club coaches.
True. Well, I'm just saying from like a personal aspect, like what is their opinion on the player? Like
for sure,
nothing to do with volleyball, but I actually think somebody called my high school coach. I'm like, that's actually good because you probably get a good perspective of how they are as people in that situation. Yeah,
more information is definitely the better, you know. And like club coaches, they're good people, you know. But sometimes they're too good and they want to help their kids too much, so like it's not always the truth.
Yeah. The high school, for example, like in high school, kids showing up high to practice because like he doesn't care at all. It's like that's good information to know.
Yeah, definitely good information to know. Yeah,
maybe just more relaxed that way, you know. Maybe he's like,
you get popped for.
Like, I'm a really good player only
test.
when I'm high. You ever get there'll be people that are like I'm only good. I play better when I'm higher. I'm drunk. I'm like, that's not good for the. Just don't think it's gonna fly.
Those are adults and not college students, but. There's people.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised. Obviously, those guys are at top levels, right?
And that's the people that you're like speaking a foreign language to. Like they don't understand. No matter how much you talk to them, like they don't understand.
The issue is when you see in the club world when they're like when they're buddy with them, and maybe they're doing stuff extracurricular activities with the kids, and it's like you said, you see that happen.
Who's buddy?
I'm just saying club coaches who.
Club coaches who are buddy. Yeah.
That happens in the club world.
You still got to keep that player-coach relationship.
In the club world, you hear about people stepping over the boundary at times too. A lot.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, like you said, for college coaches to talk to people like that one.
This is my last question or two before we let you go here, Coops. But how do you guys?
We could talk all day, man.
Oh, I know, 100%.
Should we call? Should we call Micah?
Call Micah and ask.
He
him.
just texted.
Really quick, how do you guys recruit international players? Like, what is the process?
For internationals,
Yeah.
I think it's very similar. Like emails, like they'll email out. Sometimes they'll have a recruiting service or like something that helps them, like similar to America. And still networking. Like college coaches network a lot with the clubs, with the local clubs, with their connections from the clubs they worked at before. And I think it's the same overseas. You know, I'm still I'm still in touch with people I played with or worked for and overseas. So.
And Milan, I imagine has like a big role in that.
Yeah, and he has so many connections for coaching Serbia and youth national teams and stuff, and he knows all the clubs and yeah.
And how do you get like I know Charlie would go over there sometimes. Milan would go over there. Like, how does that work? Like, who goes over? Like, do you know how they decide?
No, I'm still filling that out, but like it's the same thing. Home visits, very important. You know, you want to go see how the family is. You're committing to something very big and usually a lot of money for a foreigner because it's usually out of state tuition. So, like, I think home visits, especially in that aspect, is very important.
Got you.
Yeah.
Does Charlie still visit like most recruits to their homes, even in the U.S.?
Yeah, mostly the big ones. Yeah.
Just usually like when maybe you're on like a trip, like a road trip or something, he'll just bounce out like during the day, or will he go like in the off season more so?
It depends. Sometimes like it depends on the timeline. So sometimes he'll go, and then sometimes we'll go to a tournament early or something.
And so, like, in terms of like percentage-wise and whatnot, do you guys spend more time recruiting overseas now, or in country, or even?
No, definitely in country. Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely more people in the country. I think like that's the weird line you want to find. Like, what is it about foreigners that want to go to college and get an education rather than just like playing pro? Like, what is the turning point? And, you know, and a lot of it is kind of their families that maybe push the education, or they're pushing the education, or so. But there is different turning points for different people.
They also probably just want to come to America. You go over to Europe and like, I want to go to America. Like, especially the young players like Team Missy, like, oh, I want to go play in America. Like, a lot of them want to. It's just more maybe they connection wise, maybe they don't get recruited, but also it's like maybe they already got paid from pro or a lot of different reasons.
And they don't know the rules.
Yeah.
So like they could have broke it already and they're ineligible.
Dude, but
so that's tough, you know what I mean? But we play with so many that just go straight in like A3, A2, A1. They move up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't there's not someone there like pushing education.
100%. I mean, why would if you're like a big time guy, like why you're gonna go make like
exactly
80 to 100K, maybe a lot more than that, rather than I'm going to have to pay for college or get an education. It's like, and then I didn't realize when I was in Europe, most guys, like, I mean, I don't want to say most, but like a lot of guys, like college isn't a thing over there. University, it is a thing.
It is,
but it's not like everyone goes to university thing. I turn around, it's like, all these guys just graduate from high school. I just realized,
it's just hard though, because it's not connected to a university. So like you're either playing club and then you're like, or you're playing pro and you're not. Right, you have some guys who are doing university, but they can only take like a couple classes, and at a time it's very difficult over there. But you're gonna see in like NBA or collegiate basketball and football, or mainly basketball, like you could get top guys from Europe with NIL money now. And like if you match the pro salaries, like they can start bringing people.
Yeah, but Europe doesn't have as much. I mean, they do now.
Like
they do now.
Hey, Doncic, I wasn't thinking about education before, but you think about it now, will match your Real Madrid. Salary,
he's making like $2 million though,
The issue with that is like
how much the coaches want to win. It's capitalism. Like it's
true.
The issue with basketball is the one and done culture. It's like you have that one and done culture where it's like even if you bring like they're still not really focused on education. Yeah, maybe you bring them into college.
I agree. Yeah.
But if they're looking, but I think it's a good point.
But NIL might keep them there longer now.
Yeah, if they can pay, like you said, if they can pay the contract enough.
Quarterbacks making $1 million already in college.
Bryce Young,
Bronny James.
Bryce Young was making Alabama making $1 million, and before he even started, and then Brian James. I mean, Brian James.
The Tennessee kid, the volleyball player, $7 million.
Yeah,
$7 million.
That's crazy.
Like you're competing with NFL contracts at that point.
Yeah.
You know.
It's so crazy. But I think, you say, but also at the same time, I think it's also priorities, Joe. Like, I'm be honest, I didn't go to Hawaii because of academics. Obviously, it was a thing. I think for me, I don't want to just put the word out there. Don't worry about academics. My thing is. If you're going there to a national championship a lot of time, or you go in here, you're like, okay, you're a decent student. For me, it's like, just don't make it a problem. You know, don't make it so you still go to class, still do everything, still achieve to be the best. But for me, it was more about, it was very clear I was here to play volleyball 100%. And I saw school as a means to allow me to play. And like I said, that shouldn't. I'm not saying I'm endorsing that in any way, but I think obviously everyone has their priorities different a little bit. But obviously, if you're Hawaii, you should obviously you guys. Education is a big thing, and just don't make it a problem. Because it's also a culture thing, you know.
Yeah.
For example, you don't want to be causing any problems in which way, and I think that's how you got to look at it. If you're not gonna take, there's always guys who can take school super. There's always gonna be like the super top student, right? Maybe not super top student, and maybe you're medium around there. But just do not make school an issue.
Yeah, I want to say something on that too because I think it's super important with the culture. God, there was a couple things I want to say, but like we promote. For sure. Like, okay, there's top schools, top academic schools, but we really want to promote that culture of we want you to be the best version of yourself. And like, even as a student athlete, I try to embrace that. I was a civil engineering major. And it's always good to have a plan B. It's tough in men's volleyball, but like, hey, like we want you driven. We want you good. Cause as soon as the grades start going down, like, and we want you clean shaven, we want you just the best version of yourself. We want you hitting the weight room more, on extra on your own. We want you to get in the gym more on your own. We want to be the best volleyball player you can be, the best in the weight room, best academically, best person you can be. And that's definitely our culture that we want to do. And everyone can say that, but I think we do a good job in trying to promote it. And we want to stay on top of your grades because, I mean, Charlie's right. As soon as like your facial hair starts going, maybe not. We're on TV every week, you know, and it's something different that no other program has to deal with. Like we are on news and it's on YouTube and people all over the world has seen this. So we want you like just professional and then definitely like we're staying on top of your grades no matter what major you have, but we definitely want you to push yourself and be the best version you can be.
And I know there's very, very rare exceptions to this, but what are those? I mean, I think I can name them, but obviously you're a coach now, so you know better than I do the rules. But what are the team rules in terms of facial hair and other like maybe I don't know if it's 10 rules, but there's a certain amount of rules.
There's some exceptions now.
Right. Yeah.
Winning helps, but
yeah.
Like we just want you clean cut, basically. Like
clean cut.
Not clean, just professional. Okay. So I mean, obviously we got some guys on the team, like they can keep their beard clean cut. Like we want you professional because we're on TV so much. So as soon as you start looking scrappy and getting a little loose, you're telling us like something else is kind of taking a hit too, whether it's your grades, or maybe you're not hitting the weight room as much. Like something else is going on, and then we'll have to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just professional, just because no other school in men's volleyball has to deal with the amount of media attention, how many interviews we have to do a week, all that stuff. It's so different from any other school, and people don't realize it until they play us, really.
Yeah. Right. And their whole gym's filled with
Hawaii fans. We'll have double the amount of fans in every gym. Yeah. We're selling out in some other gyms on away trips. Yeah. So, and we're doing media interviews. Our local news is flying up to George Mason, interviewing all of us. So we got to make sure we're presentable. That's the whole thing.
And is there still the no hoodies rule? I mean, because I saw it, but it's also hard when you're changing companies. You know what I'm saying? When you're changing companies, it's like you don't know what you're getting every year. And sometimes there's like a mixing the conveyor belt. Or
you want hoodies? Shout out to the peach hoodie right here.
Shout out to the peach hoodie. Shout out to if you want to get your merch, either the soft cream long sleeve or yourself the peach hoodie that Joe's wearing so much. Hit the link in the bio. Support the boys. But because I saw like some guys wear hoodies, but at the same time I understand like maybe you didn't get all your gear. Maybe it's something mixed up or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know what the hoodies rule is really, but like Big West handed out hoodies to like all teams, and then NCAA or Adidas gave us all hoodies. So like, as a sponsor, so
how many shoes?
Charlie wasn't a fan.
I know
Charlie hates the hoodies.
Because he doesn't like them.
He doesn't think it looks sharp. He just thinks it looks kind of like.
He likes
baggy.
the bomber jackets.
Yeah,
I know, and everyone's so like comfortable.
Yeah.
I want to be comfortable on the plane. I'm like. Back when I was playing, I didn't get any of this gear. Like, I don't wear anything. I had to buy my own travel shoes, my own slacks. I had to buy my own stuff. Man, these kids are, let's not get out of hand. Like, let's not be, it's a free year.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's be honest.
Definitely when we switched over to Under Armour.
Yeah.
When we made that switch, that's when I was there too. It's like, yeah, everything was provided at that point. It's like, it was different. Like immediately, as soon as like a bigger company like that comes in. In Hawaii, like you said, it's all about like winning helps with a lot of stuff. And they were able to get a lot more, and their budget, I'm sure, your guys' budget increased.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think you could name how many, like, what do you guys get? Like, if at the top of your head, if I said, what do the players get off the top of your head?
Like what kind of gear?
Yeah,
are we giving out?
We got like 8 pairs of 10 pairs of shoes when my last 2 years at Under Armour. It's crazy.
Last 2 years, you just started like
because we get like, because in the fall you get like 2 or 3 shoes plus the travel and the weightlifting shoes, and then later on you get like 2 or 3 shoes as well for and then if you make the NCAA tournament, they get you shoes as well.
Yeah, man. We just want to make sure like you're able to play your best. You know, and if some guys want to take advantage of that. And just like check your locker. You got like tons of shoes you're not using. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, that's also part of the culture, you know?
Yeah.
You don't need, like, we have a good sponsor, but you don't need to be
excessive.
Yeah.
20 pairs of shoes.
Come on.
Dude,
like,
we did.
Micah,
honestly,
dude,
like 3 or 4 a year. Like, let's be honest.
Micah one time, he was telling me at UCLA, there's 1 year, they got so much crap. I'm like, there's no way you even wear it.
I mean, as like when you're recruiting, it's like, all right, first year, like I love it, but like over your 4 years,
like you said though, like the big thing about Hawaii is like with the blue collar type, you know, athletes and stuff, and people coming and like grinding and stuff like that mentality, I think doesn't fit with, you know, just let's just dump a bunch of gear and you have the nicest, freshest stuff. Like sometimes you want to be a little bit, you know.
Yeah, blue collar. Yeah, like have a little chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like. This guy didn't recruit me, or I'm not getting the same year. Like, just who cares? Whatever it is. Like, I like adding a little chip on my shoulder or whatever.
The gear at the end of the day,
it's not gonna help you win.
Yeah,
it's not gonna help you play volleyball better.
It's not gonna help it's not gonna really help anything.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good point. No, I think, like I said, man, this is something I've always harped on, and people are surprised by why certain teams aren't very good. Is because
they care more about
guys
how much shoes they're getting.
Exactly, shoes. They care about more about the it's okay to care about shoes. NBA players care about shoes. I get that. It's okay, but when it becomes one of those things where it takes away from the court, it takes away from stuff, and that's your main focus.
Exactly. And it was like,
that's like, dude.
I'm spending my work hours like, all right, come on, man. Like, help me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
but like, even back to like, is it a red flag if like, okay, I think we're so good at UH because we got guys who buy in. We get guys who buy into the culture, and like they take volleyball seriously. You know, they're not just there to have fun. Everyone is different. But like, is choosing a major, can that be a red flag? You know, do they not want to push themselves in that aspect too?
I can argue with that because I tried to choose the easiest major too. I think also.
Not saying you need to be a doctor.
Yeah, 100%.
Dude, there's also programs where they spend too much time on school.
100%. I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like Ivy League schools, I hear about like their what goes on with them.
They can't even give scholarships.
Yes, that's true. Dude. So you have the schools who spend too much time. Like, they're never going to be good at volleyball. They have a different
niche.
Yeah,
I think even in men's volleyball, there's not enough teams. I think everyone kind of has their niche.
Yeah,
gotta find a balance, dude.
Yeah,
it's very hard to dominate when, like you said, school is, like you said, you want them to be your best version of yourself, but when school is in my opinion, taking up too much time over volleyball rather than that equal balance, that's when you get in trouble. And that's why you find teams that are high academic schools don't win as much. You know, you got schools that can be like in the fall that can
Long
grind
Beach,
it out
Hawaii.
a lot more. Yeah, 100%.
UCLA, it's like
UCSB. I mean, UCSB is a good school though. UCSB is a good school, but when's the last time they won though? You know, you gotta keep. They've always had good teams.
Well, UCSB I think has other extracurricular stuff.
Yeah, they got a lot. They got a
why they might.
Also, I think UCSB does the best job of recruiting extracurricular players that can also focus on volleyball. If you get what I'm going at, I 100% attest to that because, like you said, they have a good culture.
I don't know. I think that's why they're always good, but they're always solid, but they're never at their potential. And that
you think so?
I think so for sure. There's some years.
Well, it's amazing how far they get with all the extracurriculars. I'll tell you that. Wow, that's amazing. Good for them. Go Chos, man. But I think, like I said, you got to find that balance. I always thought, like, for example, that's why you see Stanford. They're successful now, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And they won, but they haven't won in a long time. Maybe it's because, like you said, a lot of those guys they have to recruit. Obviously, shortening up the recruiting pool because they have to get into school first hard like that. They can't get on the pig of the litter. But when they get in there, they're such great, smart kids, and they always recruit great kids. It's never the problem, but they're spending a lot of time on school. And I know maybe I sound like an idiot here, but at the same time, if you want to be a national champion, Alabama football ain't in there all the time, and Georgia football ain't in there in the classrooms all the time.
Dude, the thing about like you said, with those schools like Stanford and stuff, you got to think about how the kid had to get into school. So he was like always in the books constantly throughout. I'm like, like Gage and I every day we were training
for football though.
For sure. But for volleyball,
Mostly,
like
though.
Gage and I, we were like, yeah, we do school, A's and B's. That's all my parents demanded.
Couple C's.
Every once in a while, you gotta trickle in. You gotta have some diversity in there. But
Some diversity.
we went to the
balance it
Harvard of the Pacific. We want to make shirts. The Harvard of the Pacific.
Yeah.
That'd be great shirts.
But like I wanna. That's an interesting point. Like you want to make it relative though. Like you can't just be in some ways lazy. So I was in civil engineering. Sometimes I had to miss practice. Sometimes I had to leave practice early. But then you just make it up in your breaks. Like you can go with the coach.
Ooh, true.
You know what I mean? And honestly, those are the days where I got even better because I'd have one-on-one with coaches or a couple other players, and I could have that time with NCAA hours because I had those late classes or those early morning classes, and I missed some of the practice times.
And
So those, in a way, helped my development more.
100%.
So, like, all right, I just want to, you hear this all the time. Oh, I can't wait to play pro. I'm just going to focus on volleyball. It's going to be awesome. Like, I won't have school. It's like, all right, you also need something to take your mind off of volleyball when you're overseas. You guys have our system. Like, I never read in my life before, but I read a ton of books.
Yeah.
You know, you need something else. Balance.
Also, you don't have access to facilities like UH. You can, maybe we can't say this, but you can go in there 24 hours a day if you really want to. You can use a gym.
All the schools should be able to do it.
And so you have the most access, and there's always time. It drives me nuts when you find that in life in general, if you really want to, there's always time in a day.
Yep.
No matter what crazy day you have, I promise you can find time to do if it's really of a priority to you.
I didn't get my 11 hours of sleep last night.
Yeah.
And go to the beach. Yeah.
but
Whenever somebody tells you, "Oh yeah, I just didn't have time," I'm like, it's just not that much of a priority for you.
I agree. And that's blue collar.
100%. And but the thing is, with those top academic schools, you're now, for example, you had a crazy hard degree, and then you also did amazing stuff on the court. So you through like after hours or finding ways to do it. But now you're asking 14, 15 kids to do that same exact thing, and that's where the problem is with the high academic schools. They're not going to do that, and then you're recruiting new kids in there, and you're expecting them to do the same thing. Absolutely not. Especially with what Joe said, they've been used to just studying the books, like. Because maybe their parents at home are like, I'm not, doing this. And then
That's
maybe
why you went to Stanford. You need to get
exactly 100%.
Sure, yeah.
And also, like as a coach, you can only do so much. You can't force a kid to get. You know that you can't force. You can ask him. You can't push the kid to drive. So you kind of pigeonhole. Pigeonhole's the right word.
Maybe. I don't know what you're trying to go for.
You're handcuffed. You can't really do anything. You know what I'm saying?
At times.
So it's that's why I think that you can't build. I don't think you can build a dynasty with with genius kids a lot of time. And I think you need a balance. I think Hawaii offers great academics. Obviously really good academics. Great in certain areas, really great majors and whatnot. But also heavy focus on volleyball. And you have to do a really good balance of that.
And at the end, I don't mean to cut you off. At the end of the day, it's all back to internal motivation. Like how hard do you want to work? Like I'm a civil engineer at UH, but it's all about the interview. It's all about who you know. It's how you're going to work. And if you're just relying on a degree to get you jobs too, and you're not going to still have that work ethic, you still need the work ethic. Yeah. You can still be successful wherever you go. Yeah. Like, let's be honest. And like sometimes, like, especially when parents or the coaches, like, are we selling volleyball or development, culture? Are we selling any of this? Or are we just selling an alumni network? Yeah. And like, we're just going to sell an alumni network and you're going to be set for the rest of your life. Like, one, is that even true? And like, two, you still need to have a good work ethic if you want to be successful in life. Yeah. Not every successful businessman or person went to like an Ivy League.
That's true. That's true. I think it's also a priority thing because, like you said, maybe Hawaii, if you're saying locally, I think has a great network. Like, amazing. Getting hired locally, especially playing for UH volleyball, is so easy. Yeah. Rather than maybe you'll have, like, if you go to an Ivy League school, you can go, obviously you prioritize other stuff, and then you have a network to go into a super huge job in terms of like your field of study, maybe science or something like that. That's huge. Obviously marine biology at Hawaii, no one can top it. So it's also kind of a thing where it's like they're going there for other priorities other than making sure they're also really good at volleyball. Yeah. So I think just committing to the University of Hawaii as a whole is also a thing that's like, it's a super big commitment. You're away from home and everything like that. Like I said, it's a huge program, so you're going to be at the bottom of the pool. I mean, there are people, you got to realize, I play with people in my years and we all have, they're literally scrubbing the floors during practice. literally taking towels, and then the next thing you know, turn to your left, here he is, on the court, and it's just like super sick at the same time. Like, that's tight. Work super hard to get there. Yeah, like a lot of the guys like that are playing right now at UH, like when I was there in my last year, they're scrubbing the floors, keeping score during practice. Towards the end of it, obviously there's a 2 hour and a half, 2 hour development afterwards, but you get a 20-man roster. Not all 20 guys can play at the same time. So I think it's really, really cool. I think it's really, really cool, and I think that Hawaii has the best culture. Obviously, I'm biased, a little biased here. I get that.
Can't wait for Micah's comments.
Yeah, we gotta get you guys both on a podcast. But Coops, we just want to thank you so much for hopping on the pod. Obviously, we're gonna get you on a bunch of times more. A little more insight. I don't know if you have anything, if you want to plug anything. Usually at the end, if you want to plug anything, say anything out there to any recruits.
Come to the stand.
Oh yeah, true.
We'll see you next year.
See you next year.
Yeah,
Good.
we'll be back.
Bounce back.
Hey,
here.
Warrior Ball, like my shirt says.
Define the moment.
Warrior
define
Ball.
the moment. The moment is set. Now define it. With that being said, also want to give a shout out to allvolleyball.com. Maybe you're a kid out there that has dreams going to University of Hawaii, and maybe you don't have access to gyms. But guess what? There's plenty of ways to play at home. And guess what? You need certain gadgets, maybe certain balls to play at home, and All Volleyball has that. Use promo code OOS, 20% off. Don't believe me? Click the link in the bio. Look for yourself. Also, you want to support the boys.
Come to a camp.
We're at a camp right now. Exactly. You want to sign up for some more camps. A lot of content coming down or coming out from that. Also, link in the bio for that. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can see more of the Dolos out here. Hopefully get Mike in the next podcast as well. We'll see. And just remember, if you can't handle the heat, goddamn kitchen. This has been another episode presented by allvolleyball.com.